I just so deeply object to a lot of what you're saying, but at the root, I feel like there's a clear misunderstanding about the core values of feminism. You're saying that it's bitter women, or that it's not allowing men to be men anymore, or demonizing masculinity. I really don't agree with. I don't think there's any value in kind of glorifying toxic masculinity that we have now, with making it seem as though being a violent man or anything like that is appropriate. I think it's really damaging.
Would you be able to phrase it as a question? Sorry for the panel.
Oh, okay.
I can say a couple of things back and we can have a discussion about this. So first and foremost, you started by saying, I feel like it's really important that we know what you think like, because a big problem is that people are thinking, are feeling, and they're not really thinking anymore. Secondly,
True.
you brought up toxic masculinity. I believe toxic masculinity exists, but it exists inside of radicalized feminists, right? Where they're thinking that they should be able to own and control society because they're marching in the street with pussy hats and saying that they demand justice for a free and fair election, like they did with Donald J. Trump. I don't like this trend where we're trying to turn men, and you call it, masculinity is masculinity. I like masculinity. Masculinity is actually the one thing that saved me in life. I was grateful to have my grandfather, who was the strongest example of what it means to be a man, right? And because of that, having that structure, it actually saved me because he taught me personal responsibility. He taught me to have a relationship with God, right? And yes, he's a man's man. He did everything with his hands. He worked on a sharecropping farm from the time he was 5 years old. Today, that archetype of what a man is being taught that there's something wrong with it, that there's something that's implicitly violent about being a man, and that's wrong. And I think the people that are harmed the most by it, by the way, are women. Women are harmed the most. When you break down men and strong fathers, we are the ones that suffer the most.
Yeah, I definitely agree with Candace on that. Like, the mothers are the ones that has to deal with a lot, especially the single mothers. Like, the times that we in this, there's so much division. It's division in everything. It's division in genders. It's division in racism. That some people, I don't, like, a lot of people that cry racism probably never experienced it their entire lives. And I don't know where this all spurred from, all this feminism. I don't know where it spurred from, where it came from. You guys have any idea where it came from? Let me know in the comments, because it's ridiculous that women carry themselves around like this. Like, don't they have fathers? Like, I just don't understand. Like, where does this toxic mentality really come from? Because it is toxic. If you hear the way some of them talk, it's very, very toxic. And they're talking about toxic masculinity, where they talk more toxic than most men that I know. Let's continue on.
You say about having a strong grandfather, a male figure. If you're saying that you've internalized these things, these messages that he taught you, then surely there's nothing inherently masculine about those qualities. I mean, I don't understand how you're defining masculinity.
I don't understand how you're defining it.
Yeah, why don't you
define it?
Why don't you define it?
Because you're the one that think like, so you should define what masculinity means to you.
Well, I mean, it depends. I would say masculinity now, obviously, just being a social construct, literally nothing more than a set of expectations that are placed on someone.
So then how can you call it, if it's a social construct, how can you call it toxic?
Because social constructs can be toxic. If you have a patriarchal society that is sending a message that men need to be dominant, or they need to be, I know you don't like the word violent, but I think there's something violent about it.
About masculinity?
No. About the sort of masculinity that we have now. If you have a patriarchal society that is sending messages that men need to possess certain qualities, and I believe the qualities that they're suggesting should be adopted are
like, to be honest with you, she has a problem with the toxic masculinity. If you look now, let me know in the comments, right? You do see when women try to take on this feminist role that they try to take, you've seen a lot of women act very masculine. Let me know in the comments, right? And you see when they cannot handle that type of masculinity, they tend to You see it with lesbian couples. You see it with single mothers now. They take on a type of, I don't know. It's weird that you've seen a lot of women now are committing a lot of crimes. A lot of crimes back then. Maybe what's happening, but not on this scale or this caliber that we are seeing right now. Well, let's continue with the video.
Do you see how good I'm being?
I mean, you can.
So, if just a question. So, you just said when men interrupt and dominate spaces. Were you a toxic feminist when you interrupted me when I was on stage?
No, I was interrupting something
I'm just asking.
that I fundamentally don't believe in.
But I'm just asking because you're saying that somebody interrupting someone is now a symbol of toxic masculinity. You just interrupted me on stage, so are you a toxic feminist?
I wasn't interrupting you because I didn't.
You went bullshit.
Yeah, because you were talking
bullshit.
Because you were talking bullshit. I didn't interrupt you because you're a woman. I interrupted you because I didn't
Maybe-
believe what you were saying. It's not that I didn't believe.
But
what you were
maybe
saying
that's what
because
men
of
do
your
sometimes?
femininity.
Is it possible that
Or
men
disagree.
sometimes interrupt because they disagree with what women are saying and not because they're toxic masculinity in the air? Like, do you get what I'm saying? Is that you're coming up with terms and sometimes people just interrupt. I'm fine with the fact that you're interrupting me. It happens all the time and I'm not holding that against you. I'm just using it to prove a point that you've created an entire concept around when men interrupt women, but you literally just interrupted me and you don't identify as yourself as a toxic feminist.
No, because I interrupted you on the basis that I didn't agree with the politics you're espousing, both of you.
Well, maybe men
Not
are
because I don't
disagree
believe
with
in
what
what
you're saying.
because you're a woman. The fact that you're a woman is completely irrelevant to me.
But maybe
what
it's
you're
irrelevant
both
to men as well when they interrupt people.
That's
Men
not the
interrupt
case.
other men interrupt
That's
women.
not the case.
We're
There's
society.
a culture of men's voices being valued more than women's. And
What
so-
is your metric for
Give
this?
us one piece of data.
Yeah,
One.
like a data.
Any piece
you
of
can't
data.
just say there's a culture
Yeah,
of men
let's hear
interrupting women. What's your data point for
Any
this?
kind of interpretivist data where you're looking at interactions, at dynamics, you can see. I mean, what do you want me to say? Like a
Like a
statistic?
fact?
Yeah,
Any fact.
I
That's one.
appreciate the discussion we're having. You're such a perfect reason for
Because
why I
you're all
could never
emotion.
be a feminist
No
because
facts.
everything that I just couldn't. It's like. You don't really know why you're calling it toxic. You did the
No,
exact
I
same
do.
thing,
I
but
know
you decided that
exactly
when
why I'm
men
calling it
interrupt, it's
toxic.
because you're a woman. But you decided that when
it's
you
not.
interrupt, it's just because you had a differing
You asked me
opinion.
for one example
I know,
of
I know,
toxic
I know. And then
masculinity,
you
and
say
I
stuff
told
about
you
the
people
marriage and
interrupt.
breakdown as an emotional labor. There are women, just so you know, that aspire to get married and have children and stay at home and raise
That's
good
okay.
children, and
I
that's
agree.
okay.
It's
So, but why are you now making it seem like that puts us in a position that's less than man? Want to create a society? Be the person that raises every individual that's in society. Feminism has made it seem like there's something wrong with being a mother, that there's something wrong with being a wife, and everything that you've just said is that. You have. It's not emotional labor. I want to have children. I want to raise my children. I don't want to be the CEO of a company and not have a husband. And that's not what I aspire to. And that's why feminism is having a hard time with a lot of women who are realizing that when they give up everything that they naturally want in life to be a feminist, they end up miserable and alone.
No, I'm not.
No, I'm not. Please don't tell me that I'm sitting here because
can't
I'm
wait to
standing.
talk to you.
I'm sitting here because I worked
You'll-
hard.
you'll be
I was
next.
personally responsible. I'm not sitting here because of feminism. No, I am not sitting here because of any feminist.
Well-
Trust me. The reason why I don't like feminism because it basically tells us that we have to feel this way,
No, it
that we have to
doesn't.
feel
No, it
bitter
doesn't.
towards
It's
men,
just
towards
trying to
husbands,
make
towards
you
marriage,
aware of
towards
your
children,
choices.
and that's why I'm trying to let you know the feminist movement is considered very radicalized because there are many women, especially conservative women, who just don't feel that way. We don't feel burdened by children and marriage.
Can I give you some facts, though, to support this? No? You don't want to hear from a man?
It's interesting.
See how things get really dangerous and you start to generalize men and women all of a sudden, like you did?
I just wanted to continue the conversation
ahead.
that I was
Okay,
having
you could
with
talk to-
Candace. Without you
We'll
jumping.
talk about facts later. Sorry, I didn't interrupt you.
I understand that some women want a family and they want to be mothers. I completely respect that. But all feminism is doing is telling you that you do have a choice. And I don't believe radical feminism is pushing women into hating the family.
The times that we're living in is very weird. It's scary, all put together. That these women look at the things that they say, and I don't know. To me, it has to be very. You got to be delusional. It has to be that, because I see. All right, you guys, let me know in the comments. I'm gonna be honest with you. You go on social media, especially on Instagram, Twitter, places like that, right? Maybe on Facebook too, but it's mostly on Twitter and Instagram. when you go on the first page, you mostly see women showing their bodies. Nothing wrong with showing your body, but certain part of your body you shouldn't be having it like this close as I go on the screen. You guys know what I'm talking about. The private part, to the wearing the most sexualized things you will ever see a woman wearing. Right? Which is not, yeah, you're proud of your body. You're proud of your body. But some things you shouldn't be seeing. OnlyFans. A lot of these women make money off OnlyFans, right? And I talk about a lot of money. Who you think is giving them that money? Yeah, there might be some females in there, but the majority is men. And for some reason, they still look at men the way they look at them right now. It's like, I don't get it. You are successful. Most of your following, if you're a woman that's a feminist and you like to show your body, you like to be very sexualized, who do you think is following you? Yeah, you're going to have some women following you, but the majority is going to be men. They are responsible for your success without you even wanting to acknowledge it. Look at Bad Baby. She said the same thing. The majority of her following on OnlyFans is men. She made how many millions in 2022? Millions off of OnlyFans. I just don't get this type of stuff. But let's continue with this right here.
Wrong, or that women can do anything wrong? Like, would you have been okay if there was like a strict razor commercial like about toxic femininity? Would that have been okay with you?
Tell me what you think toxic femininity
Accusing
is.
men of things that never happen and
Yeah.
calling it sexual assault, like Brett Kavanaugh.
He is an awful man and a rapist.
Wait, he's a what? He's an
He's
honorable
an awful man. An
Hon-
awful
honorable.
man. I said awful.
Prove it.
What?
Yeah, facts. Name one fact of anything awful he's ever done.
He raped someone.
Because she said so.
Yeah, show me
wait,
some
hold on.
evidence.
Because she said so.
That wasn't even a trial in a court. It was in front of a.
So why isn't there a trial in the court? Why didn't she go file it?
Why didn't she file a police report?
Because
You
there
can't
was no
remember the
evidence.
Date, time, place, no witnesses.
We have this culture, this toxic culture where women aren't.
The same culture leads to
Okay.
people like Jussie Smollett then faking a hoax because you have to
Bingo.
be a victim. No, you can't then sit here and say that without facts that you can say he's a rapist, but then Jussie Smollett can get away with saying there was people shouting, "This is Trump country, we're going to beat you up," without facts. You either have facts for both, or you can't
zero
just link them.
facts.
I feel necessary to do that
Okay,
Because
Can
he
I
wants
ask
to
you-
start a race war.
Evident that
Can I
He
just?
wants
I want to
put
ask you a last
people against
question.
each other.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think? So now we're getting. Now this is why I don't support feminism, by the way. Because do you believe in the concept that women should just be believed absent facts? Because that was the Christine Blasey Ford thing. There was not a single fact. Do you think that women should be believed absent facts if they say that they were raped and assaulted?
Not without fact, but I think there should be a culture of belief. If someone comes forward and says, a man or a woman comes forward and says something has happened to them, that they should be given the time to be heard and to
She was
speak
heard.
of their experience.
Okay, but I
not
just
by
hold
a
on.
court, not by a
Rule of
judge,
law.
not by legal professionals.
Why didn't she submit a police report?
At the time,
She
She
never
still
did.
hasn't.
because there is a culture of disbelief, because she was in an
But she had no
important
evidence.
position.
There's no statute of limitations for rape in Maryland. She could file a police report today. It's because she made up the entire thing.
No, she didn't.
So why doesn't she know the time, the place, no corroborating witnesses? Her story changed 8 times. None of her friends said it ever happened or she ever talked about it once before. Everything about her life story changed at least 6 times. And 2 of the women that came forward and said that something happened are actually under criminal conviction for making up the entire thing. They never met her once before. This was a con job to try to displace United States
It
Supreme
was a
Court
political
justice.
hit job. It really was. But I do want to say this to you, and something for you to just consider, because I think we should wrap this up, because I don't think you're ever going to not be a feminist, and I'm never going to be one, right? But it's really important when you start getting into that slippery slope of believe women, and I talk about this particularly to minority America, because we've learned our lesson the hardest with this. And I think radicalized feminism, when I did an interview, I said it was the closest thing to white supremacy I've ever seen is radicalized feminism. The concept
Before Candace, I think I know where she's going with this. But before she continues, I just want to say that people like that take advantage of the system and falsely accuse men of doing things that they know didn't. So when the real victims come out, it makes them harder for people to believe their story, especially when it sounds very similar to the last story. You guys know what I'm saying? But they could be telling the truth. They make it harder for the true victims. And that is so totally wrong. Listen, I have a daughter. very protective of my daughter, right? I seen that woman with the Chris Brown incident, and it's a lucky thing she accused him of doing, I don't want to say the word, YouTube is, but he saved all the messages from her. She was the one that was inviting him and herself over to his place so they could do what they gotta do. It's a lucky thing he saved all those. She didn't know he saved it. It's a lucky thing he saved that. Otherwise, Chris Brown would have been in jail for a long time for what she was accusing him of. It's a lucky thing he saved all those messages. See how wrong that is? All because they had a one-night stand and she got into her feelings.
Concept of just believing a woman because she said something is the direct thing that led to all of our ancestors getting lynched in America. When white women would just say that something happened, okay? And we were supposed to magically believe it. Our ancestors were then chased after, put into cars, Emmett Till, everything that happened in America happened because white women should just be believed. So you will never, ever, ever hear me stand behind a radicalized concept like just believe women because they're crying. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak to us today.
Emmett Till, that was sad what happened to Emmett Till. It was so really unjustified, all because of a lie. Remember something happened with Black Wall Street? You guys familiar with Black Wall Street? When that happened, I think it was like a little over 100 years ago. Yeah, Black Wall Street is when the gentleman, black guy, held the door open for a woman or something like that, and I think he like tripped something in between those lines, but it was nothing for what she told in the report. And that became the downfall of Black Wall Street. Hundreds of people died for a lie that she told in the report. They found out yesterday it was all a lie. It was a made up story. All those innocent Black Americans died over a lie and for nothing. Or because a woman didn't like, skin color. These are just people that are trying to take advantage of the system, or they're bitter, like Candace said. I just saw a guy, it was sad, man, it was sad, that he got accused of, I don't want to say the word, I would say grape. Grape, right? He did 30 years. 30 years for being accused of that. 30. There was barely any type of evidence. He was just one of the suspects and had to take the fall for it. They had to get somebody. That's sad. Imagine losing 30 years and you know you're innocent. It's sad, man. It really is sad that people take this sort of joking again where men and there was a time, it's slowly changing, that all these women that accused men and they lied never had nothing happens to them. Nothing. Case closed or dismissed. Nothing happens to them when they get caught in a lie. But now I see that tide is turning. I've seen a few women over the past couple months have been arrested for that. You're ruining that man's reputation and career. Nothing must have happened to you. No, I'm sorry. If you got caught in a lie and you're accused of somebody something that you know that they didn't do, you know they didn't do it, you have to go to jail. You got to serve some type of jail time. Something has to be done. I see it slowly changing. I hope it continues to change because it's wrong. They're making a mockery of the real victims that go through this type of stuff. And I'll just leave you guys this. I'll leave you guys here with this. Back to the toxic masculinity. I see a lot of women, real women, that wants a man and a family, or a husband and a wife that want a family, are saying, where are the real men at? Because a lot of these men are turning out to be soft. And it's a gender be pushing behind that turn out to be soft. They're asking where the real man at. Because a lot of men, if you guys don't notice, are gay. I don't say nothing's wrong with it, but they soften up men now. It's like a man can't even stand what a man stands for anymore, with all them being crucified. Like a father is meant to be there to protect his family. It's like they don't even want you to do that. But give me guys think about this in the comments. Like I said, feminists, I that is definitely something that they get brainwashed. I don't know what they get. Maybe she had daddy problems, father problems. I don't know. But you gotta adjust that. You gotta take care of that. That's personal issues. But they spread it out into the real world. I'm gonna leave it right here. I'm going off. I could go on and on with this type of topics. I saw this woman, this girl on TikTok said, she's giving other feminists advice. She said, if he can't take you to the restaurant that you choose, even if it's the most expensive restaurant, he don't deserve you. So I must take you to the most expensive restaurant to prove that I'm worthy of you? Is that what you're saying? What if the man has a regular job? You can't go to a regular diner? You see where this is going? You see where this is going? It's like never ending. Give me guys sick about this in the comments, man. It's sad that, that this is actually what's really going on. And there's agenda being pushed behind all of this. Trust me. There's a machine behind all of this. You guys let me know in the comments, man. Until then, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out. You guys have a blessed day.